So I recently sat down with 5 very cool side hustlers who have made anywhere from $50,000 to millions and millions of dollars from their side hustles, and I thought I'd share the conversations that I had with you. Enjoy. Billy, how's it going, man?
All good, man. How are you?
Charlie,
I'm very good, brother. Yourself?
Justin,
Going good.
Spencer,
Hey Keaton, how you doing?
Tom.
I am good. How are you today?
Okay, go. Oh, sorry. I was like, what?
I know you've been doing it full time for a long time, but tell us about your side hustle. What is it?
Yeah, so what I do is Amazon FBA, and I do what's called private label. I basically go through the entire design process. It's my own brand, it's my own company, and then I launch it on Amazon. And then I use what's called the FBA business model, where it stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So Amazon does all of my fulfillment. We find products, manufacture them, ship them to Amazon. When a customer orders the product, Amazon then ships it directly to the customer in 1 to 2 days.
So effectively, I'm a health coach for business people and entrepreneurs. I resolve their health issues and make sure they're feeling tipped off on a daily basis to crack on with their business pursuits. Been doing that now for about 5, nearly 6 years. It's been a while.
So I am what they would call a setter or an SDR. I essentially, set appointments for businesses, primarily in the coaching and consulting space, and worked for some marketing agencies in the past too.
So my side hustle is affiliate marketing, which is probably the greatest entry-level side hustle that you can get into with the ability to scale, right? And affiliate marketing, all we're doing, it's referring other people. So a good example of this, right, is the Amazon affiliate program. Whenever they're reading a blog post or watching a YouTube video or anything like that, and the person says, go click this link and go to Amazon to purchase, that person is getting paid a commission. And anytime someone clicks your link, purchases a product at the end, you get paid, and it kind of slowly grows and grows into a much bigger income than I think a lot of affiliates realize when they first start.
So my side hustle is reselling. I started with purses. It was diesel purses. They were $1.50. They were sitting next to a register. eBay was new. They didn't even have buy it now at the time. And I made like $60 a piece on these $1.50 purses, and that kind of got the ball rolling, and saw that I could turn $1.50 into 60, and I know that I could replicate that. So it's stuck with me, but it's been one of those that's been good to me over the past almost 20 years of doing it.
Sure. So I run a marketing agency, or SMMA for short. The simple sort of model behind it is we basically reach out to businesses who don't have enough customers or enough people coming through the door, and we introduce digital solutions to solve that problem, and in exchange they basically pay us retainers or per appointment or something like that. And it's a really good model.
So how did you get your start in that? Like, what kind of businesses were you helping at the beginning?
The most sound advice that anyone should follow when starting is to pick a niche and define exactly who they want to go for in terms of businesses. At the beginning, before I niched down, I would take on, I had someone doing double glazing, I had a restaurant, I had a personal trainer. But after I got the advice of niching down, I picked the gym niche, which I felt like was a pretty good fit. And I went from there. That's who I was targeting in the beginning.
I started while I was in college. I'm 40 now, so it's been quite a while on eBay. Reselling, and I started out of necessity because I didn't have enough money to pay for the books.
Oh man, I just dabbled into everything you could possibly imagine until I found it probably 2 years into side hustling. And I got into it just through doing YouTube videos. Someone on YouTube told me about it. I tried it, I failed a bunch of times. And then I had one like massive, ballpark hit that kind of really told me that it was for me. And since then I've probably done it for 6 years now.
And what was that Grand Slam you had?
It was the Grand Slam is actually just on YouTube. So I made a YouTube video about how to buy Bitcoin. I put an affiliate link to Coinbase, and I got paid $10 every time somebody would watch my YouTube video for how to buy Bitcoin. They would click the link and sign up for Coinbase. No thoughts that I was going to make a ton of money. It was like, maybe I'll make a few commissions off this. Let's see what happens. And a few months later, $30,000 comes in, and that was kind of the light bulb moment for me.
I got into this whole online world originally because I saw an ad, your life sucks, run a business. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do that. I realized that I did not have the skills. It was way over my head. So I got into his recruiting. He's like, hey, maybe you're running an agency, maybe it's not going how you wanted it to. Why don't you just try wearing one hat, work for somebody's
in a position where you wouldn't mind being in, and you could learn that way. And that's really smart in my opinion. So I decided to do that.
What does that entail? Like, what does your day look like?
Depending on the business, like where are they getting their leads? Are they primarily getting it from a Facebook group? Are they running ads, messaging in the DMs, or just making phone calls?
So you just take whatever their lead source is and then you message the people who have messaged in overnight and try to get them on a phone?
Right. Essentially, like, are they looking for help? Like, for example, one of the businesses I was selling for had a huge Facebook group of 60,000 people. So he put, 2 steps out, Facebook group posts. I would kind of farm the group, nurture people, and like when people were ready, I'd kind of bring up that conversation.
For me personally, I used to be a national tennis player, so I was obviously obsessed with performance and metrics associated to that. And then didn't want to go to university and pursue further education, so I qualified as a personal trainer, started working as a personal trainer in London, realised there's demand for a product online such as this, and then of course started to create content around that, and it went from there really.
Were there any qualifications or anything you got prior to beginning to coach other people? And since then, how have you kept sharp with your knowledge around the health industry and optimizing performance?
Yeah, so with the fitness space specifically, the only qualification you need to have is a level 3 personal training qualification. So I've got the level 3, and that's the basic qualification you need to work as an in-person personal trainer. With the online space specifically, there aren't any further necessary qualification. So for me personally, in terms of my education, I've just continued to, of course, really somewhat humble myself by learning from individuals I deem to be authorities that I look up to on a daily basis and weekly basis. Continuous experimentation and testing myself as well, and also individuals that I work with and of course I'm associated with. And therefore, just making sure that I'm open to new information as best as possible, learn from my previous mistakes, acknowledge that I've made mistakes before, and then go from there.
Yeah, so I started back, it's been 5 years ago, and I was previously doing what's called Shopify dropshipping. Wasn't seeing a ton of success. I mean, the cons with Shopify dropshipping is nobody knows you exist. You have to run a ton of traffic and you don't know if that traffic is going to convert. You have long ship times, and most of the time the products are just kind of cheap. And so once a friend told me about Amazon FBA, I was like, hey, this solves all of my problems. We have quick ship times. I'm in control of the product. I also have Amazon's marketplace where basically they have millions of customers at kind of my disposal to use. And then Amazon has just this massive kind of credibility. And then basically I learned about it. And within a few weeks, I just kind of dove all in and haven't looked back ever since.
So let's say I'm a beginner and I want to get into like some sort of online coaching similar to what you do. What are the first steps?
Understanding who you're wanting to work with as an ideal client of yours. Furthering that, of course, deciding what the desired outcome of the service would be. So most individuals in the fitness space, if we're referring to that specifically, would deliver and facilitate a body transformation product. And again, that's something which everyone does. So for myself personally, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something somewhat different, and therefore the value proposition would be greater. And of course, once that's decided, then creating content on the platform through which your ideal client uses, starting conversations through social media, and it starts to snowball pretty quickly. From a service fulfillment perspective, people overcomplicate it massively. You need to determine which platform you communicate with your clients through. It could be WhatsApp, it could be Slack, it could be email check-ins, whatever it may be. You need to establish a cadence of communication, make sure it's very clearly understood by both parties in terms of how frequently you check in. And then other than that, it's simply just reverse engineering what the desired outcome would be and how you facilitate that over 12 weeks and make sure clients are accountable to that process week on week, day in, day out. And then you're good to go, really.
First, think, do you actually want to get into sales? Your job is going to be talking to people. That's it. A lot of people are difficult. They have a lot of ego, everything in between. Some people are wonderful to talk to, but feel like it's worth it to put in that time to eat shit in the beginning. If that's a yes for you, then I'd say either go to a recruiter, join a bunch of Facebook groups, sales related. They might be, posting positions and stuff like that. I'd say if I were to go back and do it again, even get like a non-remote position to get that experience to transition into something maybe better, like a door knocking job. Really get my feet wet that way.
Well, you need to understand marketing. That comes in, there's 2 parts of the puzzle there. The first part is the psychology, but the second part is the technical side. So the technical side is understanding all of the jargon of the world. So what's a pixel, what's a custom conversion, what's go high level, what's database reactivation. It's the hardest to learn and grasp, and it requires quite a lot of skill to manage, but once you've got it, you've got it. And the good news with all of that stuff is you can learn all of it basically online pretty much for free. The harder part of service delivery, and the thing that most people go wrong with, is understanding the psychology behind advertising and sales in general. So when it comes to psychology, you need to have a basic grasp and understanding on human nature. And the best place to get started with that, and this might sound really trite, is literally just to go and find like entry-level college and university textbooks on psychology and read them. And all you really need to understand is the basic premises of human behavior. And what you'll start to notice is when it comes to you writing ads or creating like the actual ads themselves or building funnels, if you're not sure on like what to put there and what to write, all you really have to do is know what a human would respond to. So you invert the stimulus or the trigger you'd use to get people to click the ad through your knowledge of psychology. You need to know the tech, because otherwise you're dead in the water. But more importantly, you need to understand the core drives of why people do what they do. It's like you're trying to sell like a hair scrunchie. It's like, well, how on earth do you sell a hair scrunchie without understanding why someone would buy one in the first place?
Sell me this scrunchie.
Almost every company you can imagine has an affiliate program of some sort, and so choosing the right program and the right place to be is super important. But I typically prefer, really high ticket products or software companies with recurring commissions. And so one of the ones that you talk about, that I talk about, is high level. As long as they stay with the software company, you continue to make commissions every single month off that.
So once they find a good program, the next step is just to make videos about that?
You basically decide who would most benefit from this product that you want to promote. And then we create all kinds of content. It can be funny content, it can be helpful content, right? Whatever it is, we create all kinds of content on our preferred social platform in order to reach those people, reach that audience, and really reach them, through multiple channels, and then just talk about this product, how much we love it, how good it is, how much it can benefit their business. And you just kind of start to see stars align eventually as you consistently put out that content. You start to grow an audience, right? You consistently capture emails. You start to see sales come in as you send out these emails. And over time, you build a business.
So one of my favorite tools is the eBay app. Amazon also lets you scan, but I use the eBay app, and there is a filter that you can click over on it, and it lets you see what's actually selling. Because if you find a great item that's not selling, it's not really a great item that's flippable. So I always use that when I'm sourcing. It costs nothing to download the eBay app. And typically my rule of thumb is I don't like to touch anything unless I'm making $10 or more on it. I will go to TJ Maxx, to Ross, to multiple different stores and just scan sometimes. And there's a lot of money to be made that people kind of ignore on some of this stuff. And I mean, I'm literally going in and paying the regular price at TJ Maxx, like $19.99 on an item, and then I'm turning around and I'm selling it on eBay or Amazon for $60, $70. There were these mugs that I recently found, and the store that I was at was selling them for $1, and then I saw that they were selling for $27 a piece online. If you do a little digging, there's money to be made in all types of outlet stores and flea markets.
For private label specifically, if you want to build your own brand on Amazon, I recommend having at least around $5,000. And I think that's a good kind of startup. And for me, I started with less than $10,000, and I've grown a 7-figure business. And I also have a second account that does just under $500,000 every single year.
And what about time? So let's say I find a product I want to do, I pay $5,000 to have it manufactured and shipped to Amazon. How much time does that take? And then how much management once it's shipped there?
I would say it's probably a 2-month process if you kind of get things going. So once you find the idea, you manufacture the product, and it also depends on the product. If it's a larger product, if it's a more complicated type product, it could take a little bit longer, but you should be able to launch it within 2 months and start seeing some decent results. However, there are some times where it could take a little bit longer. Then there's also times where I've launched products in less than a month. There's some different kind of strategies to where you could maybe get it up and going a little bit quicker if you wanted.
How much would you be able to sell $3,000 worth of product for, and what would your margin be on that?
Yeah, so the average kind of profit margin for Amazon sellers is anywhere from like low 20% to all the way up to where you could have products that are doing 40-50%. So for me, I have products kind of in that range from on the low end 20%, and I try to stay above that as much as possible. But I would say probably average is around that 30% margin. So let's take the $3,000 is you spend on inventory, and let's say each unit cost you $10 landed. So you'll get 300 units. And let's say you land it for $10, you'd sell that product for anywhere from like 35 to 40 bucks. And so if you had 300 units, you would probably be taking home anywhere from like $12 to $15 profit on top of recouping your initial investment. So 300 times by, let's say 15 bucks, you're making $4,500 plus you're recouping that initial $3,000 investment.
I'd say typically between 1 to 5% is average. You could, like, comm structures can be different with setters. Like typically it's a base plus a small percentage of comms, maybe like a 1,500 base with 1 to maybe 5% comms.
I conservatively say $1,000 a month, and that's with you putting a few $100s in each month. And a lot of what I do is I'll just reinvest whatever I'm making into additional product or more product that I know is going to sell. And again, it depends on your area that you're in. I just sold a pair of Nike cleats yesterday that I bought for $3. I sold them for $100. There's whole stores built around people that are just reselling from certain stores, and you can tell when I find them on eBay or on Amazon where they're selling from, and because they're the only one with the other item that you have, and it just depends on where you want to go with it.
So I actually do the same side hustle as Charlie, a social media marketing agency, and I made a completely free 1-hour training on how I built my side hustle to nearly $2 million in sales before I sold it. The link is in the description. I'll see you there.